I welcome you all with love. And as a grandfather and as a person who works with a lot of uh, grandparents, I find myself really appalled by the information that's coming out that, unfortunately, 4 Democratic governors are actually creating an order to place COVID infected people in nursing homes and extended care facilities. Now, we know that if you're under 50, your chance of lethality is like 0.1%. But if you're over 80, you're going to be uh, literally 150 times higher rate of getting it. So putting COVID infected people into nursing homes on order, okay, when we know it's only going to do one thing, it's going to affect the other people who are highly susceptible, because we know people over 80, 75, 70 are going to be more susceptible to the infection, the viral COVID-19 infection. So what's going on? Okay, that's happening, and really in the country, we look at all the averages, somewhere between 46 and 51% of the people who are dying of the COVID-19 are actually seniors. Okay, very high percentage, over 80. So we have kind of false statistics. I kind of mentioned it the other day, is that people under 50, that's a very low percentage of infectivity. But you go over 80 and you're talking a very high percentage. So what are we doing placing, and we know this, placing COVID infected people in the most vulnerable populations? What do we expect is going to happen? Well, I'll tell you, it's pretty straightforward. The people in nursing homes and extended care facilities are going to get COVID-19. They have weakened immune systems. They usually have additional things like high blood pressure, cancer, heart disease, and diabetes. And they're going to have a very high death rate. That's exactly what has happened. It is a no-brainer that this is what would happen and what is happening. So in 4 states who are putting COVID-infected people in by order into the nursing homes, we're actually having a premeditated genocide. Why do I say premeditated genocide? Because that's exactly what it is. You know, if you're going to put people who are already in an endangered state in, associating with people with COVID-19, they're going to high percentage of being infected. Okay, so that's kind of like a no-brainer. It's straightforward what's going on. Now, what's really going on is, what kind of world do we live in where we would do that? What kind of world are we living in where we don't honor our parents and our grandparents? What's wrong with this picture? It's a very disturbing picture. And there are lots of ways to talk about it, but let's talk about it, in the sense of, well, gee, in most societies, the grandparents are honored. They've developed wisdom, they've raised their kids, they've raised their grandchildren. And in my book, Conscious Parenting, I talk about the kids that are healthiest, the least amount of juvenile difficulties and so forth, are living in multi-generation homes where the grandparents actually play a role, because they pass on the energy throughout the ages, throughout the generations. My goodness, are we going to just skip that part of the whole transmission? And so that's part of what we're looking at, is that we're really disrupting the whole multi-generational family systems and not honoring these folks for what they've given. Now, my own experience with my actually parents, who were on the older side of things, and Shanti's mother, who we took care of for 11 years, is we were very involved. We did not send them to nursing homes. And what I'm getting is, I would never send anybody to a nursing home with this kind of nonsense going on. We took care of them. My mother, died of cancer, and we were very close. And I remember her literally visiting me on the astral plane, being afraid because the next day she actually was going to die. And the next day I took care of her, and I actually kissed her, and she went to sleep and never woke up. Very beautiful. Well, guess what? Our parents and our grandparents are entitled to have a beautiful death as well as a beautiful birth and a beautiful life. They have contributed a whole lot to us. And I feel in my own life, I owed it to my mother and my father. And Shanti's mother, who lived with us for 11 years, she basically took me on as her blood son. And we really got very, very close. I mean, several times her heart stopped in the few years before she died. I remember literally, the attendant came in because we were taking care of her at her home. No halfway house, no, any kind of care. We're taking care of her home. And the lady, I just happened to walk in. She said, Emma's heart's been stopped for 3 minutes. She's not breathing. There's no pulse. She's freaked out. So, for a good reason. And I went over to her and I put my hands on her heart and just sent this loving spiritual energy in. She had already kind of left her body, and somehow I went a little bit up after her and brought her back down. And she came alive, her heart started working. I mean, literally, she was gone. And she came alive, and it's like we bonded. It's almost like a tantric bonding with your mother-in-law, but we bonded in a very deep way. Now, I could have just said, well, she's old, she's 93, forget it. But that's not what went on. See, what went on is, this is my adopted mother in that way, my mother, really. And it was like, I'm going to do everything I can to keep you alive and honor your spirit. That's what happened. She came down, and of course, we had obviously a more special connection after that. But the point I'm making is, we made a commitment that not only should she live a good life, but she should have a really beautiful death. And I call it a natural death. We have natural births. And that's what we did. We did everything at home. We helped her die. Shani kind of guided her with the breathing as she left her body. I was holding the energy and actually stayed overnight to kind of protect her spirit-wise, sleeping in the same room where she had died. It's a part of our kind of esoteric tradition. What am I saying, though? I am saying that we honor our parents and our grandparents. And from my point of view, one of the parts of honoring them is having them have a really good natural death and natural ascension. And it's a part of caring. It's all part of the cycle. It's all part of the cycle. And putting, people in nursing homes and, subjecting them to infections so they'll die off is truly premeditated murder. If you really get it, that's exactly what it is. And it has to do with a way of thinking. Well, you're not earning money. You're not existing as a material wage earner. Okay? So you're useless. That's a kind of thinking that completely misses the point of being a human being. We're not robots, as it says sometimes in the little computer thing. It'll show you're not a robot. We are not robots. We are human beings. We deserve dignity. We need to live with dignity. We need to die with dignity. And in many of the great traditions, how you die is very important for actually the next cycle of your life. And we need to wake up and start honoring that. And it's a way of honoring each other. Your grandparent and your parent, they represent part of us. And we desecrate that if we do what these governors are doing. Let's kill them off. They're useless eaters. No, these people have value. Our grandparents, our great-grandparents, our parents, they have value. It may not be at this point economic value. They have value as a human being. They have value because they raised us with love. And not everybody may feel their parents raised them with love, but they raised us with the best they could. And how do we fulfill that whole life cycle thing so people actually have a real good natural death? So I leave us with that thought that where is our society going? This is really a little scary. It's like we are that callous, we are that cut off from the life cycles, that are seriously in all the basic indigenous groups around the world. We're just going to ignore that fact that we have grandparents and, because they're not economically useful, we're just going to discard them. It's a very, very sad commentary on this new world order type of thinking, because that is what we're talking about. We're talking about the Bill Gates who say, yeah, let's get rid of the grandparents. Let's get rid of anybody isn't perfect. I mean, might as well go back to, well, it's obviously genocidal. It's obviously not too different than how Hitler thought about things. If you weren't, serving us in some way, you should be eliminated. So we need to look at that in the eyes and say, is this what we want? Is this who we are? Have we lost our touch with the cycle of life? So may all parents and grandparents be honored as they reach the later years of their life for what they have contributed. And may we be blessed, as I'm going to say, as I was blessed, for helping our parents and grandparents have a very nice, natural passing to the other side. Peace be with you. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Atakyo Aho. And I'll just kind of look a little closer. And just take the energy in. Okay, and I'm just going to remind you tomorrow we're speaking to 4 different groups of people around the world. Europe and Israel at 11 Arizona time, and then Brazil at 2, and Spanish-speaking people at 3:30, and English-speaking people at 5. So this is, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Just reminding you to tune into it. Just go to our website, drcousins.com, and you'll be directed to all the timings and ways to link in. And as we honor ourselves, as we like to be honored, so may we honor each other, our parents, and our grandparents. Amen. Aho.